The woman on my screen was begging in a language I didn't recognize, but her eyes were looking directly at me through the camera. That's when I realized the dark web wasn't just streaming this live torture session for entertainment. They were streaming it because I had specifically requested it. My name is Jake, and until last week, I thought I knew everything about the internet. I'd been online since the dial-up days, forums, image boards, the whole 9 yards. I considered myself pretty well versed in the darker corners of the web, but I had no idea what was really out there. It started when I was working my shift at the electronics repair shop downtown. This regular customer, Mr. Valdez, came in every few weeks to buy prepaid crypto cards. Always paid cash. Always bought exactly $200 worth. The guy gave me the creeps. Something about his dead eyes and the way he never made small talk. But last Tuesday, he bought $800 worth of cards. When I raised an eyebrow, he leaned across the counter. "Ever been to the real dark web?" he whispered. I laughed. "Dude, I've seen it all. Silk Road, the marketplace sites." His smile made my skin crawl. "No, you haven't." He pulled out a business card and slid it across the counter. It was completely black except for a single line of white text, when you're ready to see what's actually down there. On the back was a series of numbers and letters that looked like coordinates. I pocketed the card thinking it was just some guy trying to sound mysterious. But curiosity got the better of me that night. The coordinates led to a tour address I'd never seen before. Not the usual random string of characters. This one spelled out actual words. Dark, disturbing words that I won't repeat here. When I entered it into my browser, nothing happened for almost 5 minutes. Just a black screen with a loading icon. Then suddenly, a login page appeared. But this wasn't like any dark website I'd seen. The design was sleek, professional. It looked like a legitimate streaming service. At the top it read, "Witness Network," in clean white lettering. Below that was a simple message. "New users receive 1 free viewing credit. Choose wisely." There were 3 categories: observe, participate, direct. I hovered over observe thinking it was probably just some extreme fetish content. The description read, "Watch live events as they unfold. No interaction required." Participate was more expensive. Vote on outcomes. Influence events in real time. Direct was the most expensive option. Full control. Design your own experience. My free credit only covered observe. I clicked it. The next page showed a grid of live thumbnails. Most were just black screens with timers counting down. A few showed dimly lit rooms or outdoor locations. In the corner of each thumbnail was a viewer count and a location tag. Romania, 847 viewers. Philippines, 1, 203 viewers. Mexico, 2, 891 viewers. The Mexico stream had the highest viewer count, so I clicked on it. The screen went black for a moment. Then I was watching a grainy feed of what looked like an abandoned warehouse. In the center of the frame was a metal chair. Empty. A chat window opened on the right side of my screen. Messages were flying by too fast to read, but I caught fragments. "When does it start? I paid extra for HD quality. First timer here. What am I supposed to expect?" Then a timestamp appeared. "Event begins in 0:2:17. My heart started racing. What kind of event required a countdown? At exactly 0, 2 figures walked into frame. One was dragging something, or someone. That's when I saw her. The woman from my opening. Blindfolded, hands bound, being forced into the metal chair. She was crying, pleading in what sounded like Spanish. The chat exploded with messages. "She's perfect." Finally, some quality content. How much to make requests? I felt sick, but I couldn't look away. This was real. This was happening right now. One of the men removed her blindfold, and she looked directly into the camera. Her eyes met mine through the screen, and I swear she could see me watching, see me doing nothing. That's when I noticed the donation ticker on the left side of the screen. People were sending cryptocurrency donations with specific requests attached. 0.01 Bitcoin. Make her stand up. 0.02 Bitcoin. Remove the blindfold. 0.05 Bitcoin. Ask her name. Each donation triggered an action. The men in the warehouse were reading these requests and following them like a script. My hands were shaking as I reached for my phone to call the police. But then I stopped. What would I tell them? I found this through illegal means, using Tor, accessing content that probably wasn't even being streamed from the United States. They'd ask questions I couldn't answer. The donations kept flowing in. Bigger amounts. Darker requests. 0.1 Bitcoin. Show us what's in the toolbox. 0.2 Bitcoin. Let me hear her scream. I watched in horror as one of the men dragged a metal toolbox into frame. The chat was going insane. Yes, finally, this is why I pay premium. That's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. At the bottom of the screen, in small text, it read, "Thank you for your donation, JGAR47. Your request has been queued." But I hadn't donated anything. I was just watching with my free credit. I scrolled up through the chat history and found it. A message from my username. 0.05 Bitcoin. Make her look at the camera again. And she had. Right after that donation timestamp, the man had forced her to stare directly into the lens. She'd been looking at me because I had paid for her to look at me, but I never sent that donation. I never even created an account with that username. My laptop was ice cold, but sweat was pouring down my face. I checked my crypto wallet on my phone. Sure enough, 0.05 Bitcoin had been withdrawn 20 minutes ago, about $50. The Witness Network had somehow accessed my wallet and made a donation on my behalf. They'd made me complicit. The woman's screaming intensified as the larger man opened the toolbox. I slammed my laptop shut and ran to the bathroom where I threw up everything in my stomach. When I came back, my laptop was open again. The stream was still playing. Impossible. I had definitely closed it, but there she was, still in that chair, and the chat was filled with messages directed at me. "Welcome back, Jake. Glad you could rejoin us. Your next donation is processing." I hadn't made another donation. But as I watched, another message appeared from my username. 0.1. Use the first tool. $50 became $100. $100 became $200. Each time, I watched my crypto wallet drain while this woman suffered for entertainment. And each time, I told myself I would leave, call for help, do something. But the screen kept pulling me back in. The chat users started addressing me directly. "Jake, you're new, but you're learning fast. Big spender tonight. Jake wants a show." The worst part? They were right. Some sick part of me was curious about what would happen next, what that toolbox contained, how far this would go. After the 5th donation I never made, totaling over $300, I realized what was happening. The Witness Network wasn't just streaming torture. It was testing people, seeing how far they'd go, how much they'd pay, how complicit they'd become, and I was failing the test. The woman, Anna, they called her, kept looking at the camera between her screams, looking at me, like she knew I was the one funding this, like she knew I could stop it but chose not to. By the time my wallet hit zero, I had donated over $600. The stream ended abruptly with a simple message. "Thank you for participating. Your personal stream begins in 24 hours. Personal stream? I tried to close the browser, but it wouldn't respond. The page had changed to show a single line of text. "Welcome to director-level access, Jake. Your credit limit has been increased." Below that was a live feed of my own apartment, my own bedroom. The camera was positioned somewhere near my ceiling, showing me sitting at my desk in perfect clarity. In the chat window, messages were appearing. "Jake's place looks nice. Good camera angle. When does his stream go live? I vote we start with something simple." I spun around, searching my room for cameras, but found nothing. The feed showed me spinning, showed my panic in real time. The chat laughed. "He doesn't know. They never know. Jake, check your laptop camera." I looked at my laptop screen. The camera light wasn't on, but in the reflection of my black screen, I could see a tiny green dot. The camera was active, but the indicator light had been disabled. That's when I noticed the second window that had opened. A donation page. But this time, people were donating to watch me. 0.01 Bitcoin. Make him check behind the curtain. 0.02 Bitcoin. See if he'll call the police. 0.05 Bitcoin. Jake, read this message out loud. And despite every rational thought in my head screaming at me to shut everything down and run, I found myself walking to the curtain. Something was controlling my actions. Not physically, but mentally. Like a compulsion I couldn't resist. Behind the curtain was a small black device with a blinking red light. A camera, obviously planted when I wasn't home. But how long had it been there? How long had they been watching me? I returned to my laptop where the donations were pouring in faster. 0.1 Bitcoin. Make him check his phone. 0.2 Bitcoin, Jake. Open your front door. 0.5 Bitcoin. Time for him to meet his neighbor. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Go to your front door. Now. I wanted to run. Wanted to call 911. Wanted to smash my laptop and disappear. But my feet carried me to the front door like I was sleepwalking. Through the peephole, I could see Mrs. Chen from across the hall. She was holding an envelope and smiling normally, like nothing was wrong. But her eyes had the same dead look as Mr. Valdez from the shop. She knocked gently. I opened the door. "Hello, Jake," she said in a voice that wasn't quite her own. "You've been selected for direct-level access. Congratulations." She handed me the envelope and walked away without another word. Inside was a single sheet of paper with an address across town and a time, 11:47 p.m. in 43 minutes. Back at my laptop, the chat was celebrating. He opened it. Jake's going to love what we have planned. Finally, a new director who shows promise. Below the chat was a bank statement. My bank statement. Showing deposits I'd never made. Thousands of dollars. All time-stamped from the past 6 months. Payment for consultation services from something called Witness Entertainment, LLC. According to these records, I'd been working for them for half a year, but I'd never heard of them before tonight. I checked my actual bank account on my phone. The deposits were real. Money I couldn't explain, sitting in my checking account. Money I'd apparently been earning by doing. What? A new message appeared from admin. "Jake, your first directing session is tonight. The client has specifically requested you. Don't be late." The address was for a warehouse in the industrial district, the same area where they film those low-budget horror movies, the same area where people disappear and nobody asks questions. I should have stayed home. Should have called the police. Should have thrown my laptop out the window and moved to a different state. Instead, I got in my car. The warehouse looked abandoned from the outside, but when I approached the door, it swung open automatically. Motion sensors, or someone watching remotely. The hallway inside was lined with dozens of monitors, each showing a different live stream. Different rooms, different people, different levels of terror. At the end of the hall was an office with my name on the door. Jake Richardson, director. How long had this door existed? How long had they been planning this? Inside the office was a single chair facing a wall of monitors. On the desk was a headset, a keyboard, and a tablet displaying a menu of options. The tablet showed my profile, director, Jake Richardson. Specialization, psychological manipulation. Success rate, 94%. Preferred methods, isolation, false hope, extended psychological torture. Notable sessions: Anna Volkov, Romania; Chen Wei, Singapore; Maria Santos, Brazil. I'd never heard these names before, but apparently I'd been directing their torture sessions for months. A voice came through the headset. "Good evening, Jake. Ready for tonight's session?" I don't understand what's happening." "Of course you do. You've been doing this for 8 months. Check your memory logs." A new window opened on the central monitor. Video files dated back to last January. Dozens of them. I clicked on one at random. It was me, sitting in this same chair, wearing this same headset, calmly giving instructions to torture a man tied to a chair in what looked like a basement in Eastern Europe. The me on screen was focused, professional, like I'd done this 1,000 times. "Use the cattle prod now," Video Jake said into his headset. "The viewers are getting bored." I watched myself orchestrate an hour of systematic torture, while a chat room full of people donated cryptocurrency for specific requests. By the end of the session, the man was unconscious and I had earned almost $2,000 in commission. "But I don't remember any of this," I whispered. "Memory modification is part of the onboarding process," the voice explained. "It helps new directors compartmentalize their work, reduces psychological stress, and increases performance." The horrible truth was settling in. I had been doing this for months, making money by directing live torture sessions for an audience of sick people on the dark web. The memories had been suppressed, but the actions were real. "Tonight's client is special," the voice continued. "She specifically requested you after seeing your work with Anna. She wants the same psychological approach." A new feed appeared on the central monitor. A young woman, maybe 25, tied to a chair in what looked like an abandoned classroom. She wasn't crying or screaming. She was just waiting. Her name is Sarah Mitchell, college student from Portland. She's been missing for 6 days. Police think she ran away. The tablet updated with her information. Photos, personal details, psychological profile. Everything needed to break her mentally before the physical torture began. "Sarah has a younger brother with autism," the voice continued. "She's been his primary caregiver since their parents died. Very protective. Use that." I stared at the screen, at Sarah sitting calmly in that chair, and felt something snap inside my head, like a wall breaking down. Suddenly, I could remember everything. Anna in Romania, begging me to stop while I calmly explained to the chat room why psychological torture was more effective than physical. Chen in Singapore, who I'd convinced that his family was watching the stream before having him mutilated on camera. Maria in Brazil, who I'd spent 3 hours breaking down psychologically before she stopped speaking entirely. I remembered enjoying it. The power, the control, the money. But I also remembered the person I used to be. Before Witness Network. Before they recruited me. Before they modified my memories and turned me into something monstrous. "Begin the session, Jake," the voice commanded. I put on the headset. Sarah looked up at the camera like she'd been waiting for me. "Hello, Sarah?" I said, my voice automatically falling into the calm, professional tone I developed over months of practice. "My name is Jake, and I'm going to be directing your experience tonight." She didn't respond, but her eyes showed she understood. "I want you to know that your brother David is watching this stream right now. The chat room has confirmed his identity. He's trying to raise money to pay for your release. This was a lie. David wasn't watching, but Sarah didn't know that. Her composure cracked. David? David, if you can hear me. He can hear you, Sarah. In fact, the chat is voting on what should happen to you next. Your brother's vote counts as 5 regular votes since he's family. I pulled up the fake chat interface that showed David M, 23, actively participating, voting for the least harmful options. Another lie, but one that would keep Sarah compliant. The real chat was filled with people eager to see escalating violence. They were donating cryptocurrency for increasingly brutal requests, but Sarah believed her brother was protecting her. The good news, I continued, is that David is winning most of the votes, but he needs to keep donating to maintain his influence. If his donations stop, the other voters take control. I watched Sarah's hope build as fake donations from David appeared on screen, each one supposedly saving her from worse fates, each one making her believe rescue was possible. This was my specialty. False hope, making victims complicit in their own torture by convincing them cooperation might save them. But tonight was different. Tonight, I remembered who I used to be. As I reached for the controls to begin Sarah's torture session, my hand stopped. The memories of my previous sessions weren't just returning. They were overwhelming me. The guilt, the horror, the recognition of what I'd become. I could end this, right now. Instead of following the script, I typed a message directly to Sarah. Your brother isn't here. This is all fake, but I'm going to help you. The voice in my headset exploded. Jake, what are you doing? Follow the protocol. I ignored it and typed another message. The building you're in has a fire exit behind the camera. When I create a distraction, run. Jake, terminate this session immediately. I pulled up the building's security system and triggered every fire alarm in the facility. On Sarah's screen, I could see smoke beginning to fill the room as the suppression system activated. Her captors were shouting and running around trying to figure out what was happening. Sarah looked at the camera one more time, nodded slightly, and ran. The monitors around me started going black one by one. Emergency shutdowns. The voice in my headset was screaming threats, but I ripped it off and threw it across the room. That's when I noticed the timer on my desk. 0, 0, 43 and counting down. I ran. The warehouse exploded just as I reached my car. Not from any fire alarm malfunction. They'd rigged it to destroy evidence and eliminate loose ends. I drove home expecting to find police, federal agents, someone waiting for me. But my apartment was empty. My laptop showed no history of the witness network. My crypto wallet was empty, but my bank account showed no record of the deposits I'd seen earlier, like none of it had ever happened, except for one thing. On my kitchen counter was a newspaper I'd never bought. The Portland Herald, dated today. The headline read, "Missing student found safe after warehouse fire." Below that was a photo of Sarah Mitchell, smiling, being reunited with her younger brother David. But in the bottom right corner of the newspaper was a small advertisement, just a black square with white text. Witness Network is hiring. Competitive salary. Memory modification included. And below that, in smaller print, "Thank you for your service, Jake. When you're ready to return, we'll be waiting." I've been staring at this newspaper for 3 hours now. Every time I try to throw it away, I find myself reading that advertisement again. The money was good. The work was satisfying in a way I don't want to admit. And if I don't go back, someone else will take my place. Someone who might not remember their humanity at the crucial moment. The newspaper is still on my counter. The advertisement is still there, and I'm still deciding. If you're watching this video, if you made it this far, you need to understand something. The dark web isn't just a place where bad things happen. It's a place where bad things happen because people like you and me choose to watch, choose to participate, Choose to donate. Every click is a vote. Every view is validation. Every dollar spent is blood money. I saved Sarah, but I destroyed Anna. I rescued Chen, but I broke Maria. For every life I might save going forward, there are dozens I've already destroyed. The choice isn't whether to watch. The choice is whether to remember. If this story scared you, if it made you think, if it made you realize how easily normal people can become monsters, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe, because the stories I'm about to tell you are going to make this one look like a bedtime story. The Witness Network is still out there, still recruiting, still turning ordinary people into directors of human suffering. And the worst part? I'm still getting paid.